Here we grow again. In new guidelines for tomorrow's nonprofits, there are 12 new guidelines, and there are 60 key practices. It's crazy. Guideline number 1, reciprocal relationships. Jimmy, for goodness sake, don't tell me that guideline number 1 is building relationships. This isn't 1990. Well, I agree with you. And the nonprofit sector has failed at building relationships. And do you want to know why? Because they're not reciprocal. Because of conflict of interest, because of the existing set of best practices, reciprocity is frowned on. Matter of fact, the person gives their life away and says they're going to join a board of directors, the first thing they have to do is sign a legal document saying conflict of interest, in no way, shape, or form will anything inure back to me. Friends, charity, charis, the Greek word charis. You know, the ultimate expression of charity is found in Scripture, isn't it? No greater love a man has than this, than to give his life for a brother. That's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. We can't go around having everybody finding somebody to die for. It's not that we don't believe in giving, but we don't believe that a person selflessly giving is sustainable. And tragically, the nonprofit sector bases a huge part of its income model on treating donors that way. So when I talk about taking off the governor, if you will, by saying, what happens if relationships are reciprocal and a donor's personal goals are accomplished by giving? A donor's financial goals are accomplished by giving. A donor receives all sorts of things in return by giving. We have to take a look at guideline number 1, reciprocity, and make sure that we build networked, bridged, trusting relationships that actually lend themselves to sustainability. Repurposing leadership roles. Number 2. Guys, here's what's great. We're not asking for all this radical change at the board level. We're just letting you know that if an organization is functioning well, it's not because it has a good board or a bad board. Good boards and bad boards don't matter. Having a group of volunteers who quite often are disengaged and at best are sincere, etc. Well, you know, board members think that they're governing. Board members aren't governing. Governing is a full-time position with cabinet members who daily govern. Board members have been told that they create policy. We don't need board members to create policy. We hire a CEO that actually is more competent in creating policy. When does a board member have time to actually write policy? Anytime you see this, it's just the board signing off on something that some professional actually did. Board membership is not about policy. Board membership is not about volunteerism. We don't need fundraising committees of the board. We don't need special event committees of the board. We don't need marketing committees of the board. There are amazing things, amazing, important things that the board can and must do. And the greatest gift any board of directors can give its community, and by the way, size. What's the right size? Working group theory says 5 to 7 people. 5 to 7 people. We don't use the board of directors, a governing legal entity, to put in place all of these different individuals just so we can get them to write them a check. The greatest thing a board can do, the greatest gift they can do, is give a community a strong CEO. And you know, we talk about accountability. There's no accountability. I know that's a little global. I'm sure there's some accountability. But good night in the morning. The president is actually right. The executive director's report. The executive director, it's immoral to make a president or executive director self-report at the board meeting. There are things that we can do to hold CEOs accountable, but the key is a strong CEO. That 15% of organizations that flourished and raised more money than they've ever raised ever, even during the worst economy since the Great Depression, there was a strong individual at the C-suite level. And we just demonstrated that it didn't matter if they had a good or bad board. So what can we do to make sure that we hire, that we spend every last possible dollar on a CEO, not that loves the issue. We don't need issues. We don't need CEOs that care about the rainforest. We don't need CEOs that care about the homeless. We need CEOs who understand enterprise growth and can bring all of their experience and expertise to bear on tackling an issue and eliminating it in a community. Well, there's just so much to go over there. Okay, rewriting mission statements. I'll be quick. Common mission statement. Harvest Town Food Bank exists to provide Jonesville's hurting, hungry, and homeless the food, resources, and nutrition they so desperately need. I just kind of pulled off a standard kind of mission statement. What if I told you this is the way it should read? Harvest Town Food Bank provides donors, advocates, and volunteers the organization they require to meet the needs of Jonesville's hurting, hungry, and homeless. You see, donors are our primary customers. 95% of nonprofits don't include their primary customer in their mission statement. The mission statement is a way to represent and inspire a customer to purchase a transformational stake in your particular nonprofit or ministry. We need to rewrite mission statements. We're going to tackle it. Donor-driven capacity building. I just read an article last week. Is being donor-driven a unicorn? Of course it's a unicorn. We just give it lip service. We're not really willing to meet donors' needs because we've decided that everybody has to give selflessly. But you want to know what's worse? The donors, because of our Western culture and the way we've treated them and the way we've raised them up, they'll be the first to tell you that they don't want anything in return. We don't want anything in return. And we understand that that's their position. Sometimes religion lends itself to that. Sometimes altruism lends itself to that. But here's what we've proven. We have proven, we've proven that even though donors say they don't want anything in return, if you provide them a myriad of value-added benefits, if you provide them all sorts of different opportunities to be meaningfully involved and receive things in return, they give at a greater level and they give for a longer time. So how are we going to tackle this on both our side and their side? Prioritizing income over program. Friends, money is oxygen. Nonprofits think that program is more important. It's not. Money is more important than mission. And for my evangelical friends out there, money is more important than ministry. It's an order of things. And if you will prioritize income generation and understand that that's your program is for donors, your program is for the government, your program is for social entrepreneurship, your program is for students' fees or hospital fees, you understand that's where your customer base is, you're able to transform exponentially more lives. You're able to save more rainforests and serve more individuals that are homeless. We must prioritize income over program. How are we doing?
Pretty good. About 15 minutes.
15 minutes. I think I can do this. Here we go.
Some comments.
Financial capital investment. Friends, we need capital. Nonprofits need money, which they can blow on research, and the donors get nothing in return, except we found out what not to do. This is how we innovate. Financial capital. There's all sorts of different ways, creative ways, that the for-profit sector is engaging in, that the nonprofit sector must engage in order to have a healthy flow of cash. Cash, 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 cash. This is what we need to be able to expand and grow our missions to tackle problems of scale. Increasing overhead. You know, I'm fond of saying after Dan Pallotta's leadership, is administrative overhead still a thing? Huge changes there. And what we found out with our donors is that they love to underwrite overhead. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. It's not about a building and a name, friends. It's about tackling a problem of scale. Donors understand how to spend money in order to take care of problems. That this has to be tackled and codified. Social enterprise partnerships, the LC3 movement, allowing for-profit companies to be taxed differently if they're doing social good, but they're still making a profit. All sorts of amazing opportunities here for us to engage in. Guidelines that need to be tackled. I don't even know what to say about this one. Friends, it's only about one thing. Ultimately, it's about a strong CEO. Is your organization failing? It's CEO. Is your organization prospering? It's CEO. You want to know what? It's not about the board's vision. Take this home to get this one. It's not about the board's vision. It's about the board's ability to hire a CEO who has a vision to accomplish the mission, and the board gets behind the CEO's vision. And do you want to know why? Because the board doesn't have to implement the vision. The CEO does. CEO, strong CEO capacity building. So this is why we have to put them in the leadership position that that commonly executive directors say, I'm going to sign up, but I don't want to be in charge of this. And that's because they're program directors. They're not really executive directors. So sussing out what it looks like for a CEO to be an enterprise builder is going to be an important guideline. Innovation, research, and evaluation. Friends, here's the beautiful things. All of those guidelines that are out there, they're not based on recent research. The guidelines that we are proposing, that we begin to discuss, just discuss them. We just want to talk about them. We're not causing confusion. We've decided to introduce these things because of what the research has indicated. So we look forward to making sure that guideline number 11 is taken care of. Okay, guideline number 12. Guideline number 12. What do you know that we haven't even thought about? And it's probably countless. The numbers of things that we haven't figured out yet are countless. And you may have the answers. You will have the answers. So what issues and topics yet need to be addressed? You know, despite which guideline you chose, make sure you consider this and that you populate this in your governor's guidelines form. Can I have the iPad, please? In Nano Central. And by the way, you will need to, for the very first time, we're doing a membership drive. This is the first moment we've even introduced the idea of membership. But to access your governor's toolkit and to access the governor's forum, you will need to pick your membership package. But once you've done that, you're going to be able to go into the forum. Matter of fact, it's right here, governor's forum. And you'll notice in the governor's forum that presently the 12 guidelines are there. And this is your task. Let's say you took trusted reciprocal relationships. There are 6 questions. We're doing the heavy lifting for you. Here's what you do. You read the section in New Guidelines for Tomorrow's Nonprofit on trusted reciprocal relationships. You come to your governor's forum and you answer these 6 questions and then put in all your crazy, amazing, wonderful input and comments. We covet it. It's the key. Then we'll keep processing this. One more video teleconference, and then we'll make sure we process them at March 7th and 8th, 2017, Capacity Building Convention and Expo. Like I said, 4 keynote addresses, but 10 hours of you being on stage. 10 hours of andragogy instead of pedagogy. No retreaded workshops here. You're the key.